All right. Hi, everybody. It is good to be back here. For those of you that are new to this, my name is Kim. I work with Cornell Cooperative Extension. I'm with the SNAP-Ed program. And we did this, before the summer, and I'm going to start doing this the first Friday of every month. You can find us here. I'll be sending the link out in the same ways that I did this month. So I hope you keep coming back. But for today, we're going to be talking about MyPlate. And then after that, we're going to go over all the different food groups in more detail as the weeks go on. So just as a broad thing, I'm not going to be checking the chat box, but share with each other. When you look at MyPlate, what's the first thing that stands out to you? Go ahead and put that in the chat box, share with each other, and feel free to do that throughout the class if you guys want to, have thoughts or ideas, questions, and things like that. I will ask for questions at the end of the class too. So here's some things that stand out to me when I look at MyPlate. Half of this is fruits and vegetables, which means this is, a good visual of how you want to be eating throughout the day. So half of your plate, half of what you eat throughout the day should be fruits and vegetables. So every time you eat, even including a snack, try to think about how you can add in a fruit or vegetable or both. Some other things that stand out is the grains is a pretty good portion there. A lot of people think that, going carb-free and things like that is going to be good for them. And we'll get into more details once we get to grains in another session. But it is really important to make sure that you have those grains. And it's not so much going carb-free, but the types of carbs and the types of grains that you're having. Today, I'm going to be cooking with brown rice. So that one is a whole grain. It's a good way to get energy. It's a good way to fill up and stay full longer. And like I said, we'll talk about that when we get into details. And then we've got our protein right here. Proteins, you just want to think about having lean proteins, things like chicken breast, anything that is like a pork loin, sirloin, tenderloin, anything that has loin in it is usually going to be leaner. And even thinking about going, meat-free and having some edamame or some type of black beans, some type of legumes, lentils. All of those are good ways to cut back on some saturated fat and still get that protein that you need. And then we have the section here for dairy. Dairy is not for everyone, but if you do like dairy, it can be a really good, important part of your diet because it is high in calcium. It's one of the easiest ways to get calcium, and it's very digestible too. For those of you that can have dairy. Okay, so that's MyPlate. And like I said, as we go along, I'm going to go into more details on each one of these food groups throughout the next 4 weeks. But today I have something that is going to include all of the food groups. I'm going to be making a stir fry. And I chose a stir fry because I think a stir fry is a great way to use up leftovers. That's the way I think of a stir fry. If you've seen some of my other ones from before, I think that I may have made an Asian flavored stir fry. You could do the same thing, making Asian flavors that I'm going to do today with just a little bit of soy sauce and sesame oil instead of the different seasonings I'm going to use. But for today, I chose a Southwest stir fry. And the reason for that is because I had some leftover ground turkey. So like I said, I like to think of stir fries as my go-to for a leftover, especially at the end of the week. I have some brown rice in the refrigerator. I had some ground turkey in the refrigerator. And I'm just going to cut up a couple of veggies to go along with it. So let's get it started. I'm going to turn my pan on. So it's just going to be on a medium. I'm going to saute up carrots. Just going to peel it real quick. Then I'm going to chop it small because carrots can take a while to cook if you don't cut them up. I like my carrots roasted to slow cook them and they get nice and sweet. But for today, we're going to chop it small and saute them. So I just took the end off and then I'm just going to run my blade down it and make thin slices. And carrots are really great for you. We probably have all heard that they're good for your eyes, but they have good antioxidants in them. And I think they're a good one for families too, because I always find the kids like the carrots. And they're a nice way to add some color and flavor to anything that you're going to be making. All right, I'm just going to chop those in half too. There's my carrots. Now, if I was making this for my whole family, I would probably cut up a couple of carrots, but for myself, I just have one small carrot. Get my peels out of the way. And I like to save the ends and the peels. I stick them in a big freezer bag with onion peels and garlic peels and other types of vegetable scraps. And then when I get a big Ziploc bag full, I keep them in the freezer. Once it's full, I dump it in a pan with some water and I boil it up, and that gives me a nice vegetable stock. And I make my own vegetable stock that way. And that way I always have vegetable stock on hand, which is nice. All right. I'm also going to get a little crazy today. I'm going to throw an apple in there. Apples add a nice little sweetness. And I'll talk a little more about my seasonings, but there's a little bit of spice to this. So that little bit of sweetness from the apple is really good. And again, I'm just going to put it up kind of small, and I want to soften it when I saute them. And they kind of just melt right into this. And then you bite into them and you're like, ooh, that's a little sweet. And the same thing with carrot. Carrot's a little sweet too. So they make a good addition when you have that spiciness going on too. All right. Just doing some slices. I keep the peel on. That's a matter of preference if you want peel or not. For most fruits and vegetables, you'll find that most of the nutrients are closest to the peel. So if you do like the peel on it, then keep it on and you're going to get most of the nutrients out of that fruit or vegetable. Okay, that's the first thing that's going to go on the pan. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that on. I just have some heart healthy olive oil here. That's not on my plate, but it is an important thing to keep in mind, is having those healthy fats in your diet too. I'm going to turn that down a little bit. There we go. Steaming up. You guys can hear that sizzle. All right, now I'm going to just make sure that all of it is covered in the fat from the olive oil. There we go. I'm going to put just a little bit of salt on it. And then I have my own Southwest seasoning that I make, and I'll send this out in an email afterwards. But it is a mix, it's equal parts oregano, cumin, onion powder, and garlic powder. And then a little bit of cayenne pepper and some smoked paprika and black pepper too. So I'll send that recipe out to you guys after the class so you can have it. But it is a really nice seasoning. And like I said, we have that sweetness from the carrots and the apple, and then you got that little bit of cayenne in there too. Give it a little stir. We're just going to leave that on there for a couple of minutes. Ooh. That's the one thing with virtually, you don't get the smells, but I just got a little of that cayenne right up in my nose. There we go. Okay. Now I have one little really spicy pepper from my garden that I just picked. I don't know if any of you have gardens, but the hot peppers grew very well this year because they like the heat and it was a hot summer. All right, I'm going to cut this up really tiny. Nobody wants to take a big, huge bite of one. Well, maybe some people do, but I don't. And if you don't like spice, you could always do the same spice mixture that I made. If you don't like it hot and spicy, you can just leave the cayenne out. And even for this recipe, you don't have to use the same vegetables that I'm using and the same fruit that I'm using. I've made the stir fries with some canned pineapple before too. That's really good. And any vegetables that you have that you're looking to get rid of, like I said, stir fry is a great way to do that. Or if it's a busy night and you just have some frozen veggies, you can just throw some veggies on and use some leftovers and you have dinner in, you know, no time. Okay, now I'm going to add, that's a good handful of spinach that I'm putting in. Add a little bit of greens. Most people do not get enough leafy greens in their diet. So if you can add greens to anything, add it in. And spinach will cook right down pretty quickly here. There we go. All right, that's just gonna take a couple more minutes. And while I have my dog barking over here. Hey, Dina. Okay, sorry about that. While that finishes cooking, I am going to make my yogurt sauce that's gonna go on top. So I've got about a half a cup of yogurt in there. And I had a quarter of a lemon left in my refrigerator. We're gonna use that up and squeeze that into the yogurt. And that's just plain non-fat Greek yogurt that I'm putting this into. Finish that jug of yogurt up in here. Cleaning out my refrigerator today. That's what I like to do on Fridays. All right. Make sure nothing's burning over here. Oh yeah, the carrots and the apples are nice and caramelized. Okay, I am going to turn that off and just let that sit for a minute. Okay. I have 1 clove of garlic. It's a pretty good sized clove too. I'm gonna crush that. Smash it down. Adding garlic and onions to things are really great because they are just great immune boosters for sure. And then we've got the vitamin C in the lemon too, to go along with all the calcium and protein that you get in the yogurt. It's a really good little sauce. It's something, one of those things that I always have in my refrigerator. I make this almost every week. And we put it on things like tacos, sandwiches. I'm gonna put on my stir fry today. It kind of replaces sour cream. It's a little bit healthier and it's got a lot more flavor. You got all the garlic and the lemon and everything in it. All right, chop that up as small as I can. I like chunky garlic sometimes, but in the sauce, you want to have it nice and finely chopped. Okay, throw that in there. And a little bit of salt. And then I just do maybe about a tablespoon of olive oil to go in there. Again, getting some healthy fats, also add some good flavor. And then just kind of stir it all up. All right, that is going to be good on there. Okay, let's get this going again over here. Yep. All right, here is my leftover turkey. So I made this the other night with some, we just stuffed it into some pitas, and there's sauteed onions, sauteed peppers, black beans, and the ground turkey. And my homemade Southwest seasoning too. So we're gonna mix all that in there. Adding some more colors, adding some more veggies. This is already cooked, so we really just need to heat it up and mix it in with the veggies that are already in there. It's looking delicious. Smelling delicious too. All right, and then I've got some leftover rice. I'm gonna mix everything in together. You could just heat this up and then pour all this stuff over the rice. So I'm just gonna throw it all in together. Heat it all up together. I like to mash all my food together. Other people would prefer to have the rice separate. I get that. All right. And all we're doing is just warming up those leftover things. The veggies are all cooked and ready to go. I'm also going to add a little bit more seasoning because the rice is kind of bland if you don't. It's brown rice. A lot of people tell me they don't like brown rice, but it's all about how you season it and flavor it. That's going to make a difference for you. All right, mix that. Seasoning. And for the finale, we're going to add that hot pepper in. Sprinkle it evenly, as best as I can. Make sure after you do that, I'm not going to touch my face. I'm going to wash my hands right away after this. You chop up a hot pepper and then touch your face, your eyes, or anything like that, you're in trouble. So this is going to be good. It's going to have that sweetness from how the apples and the carrots kind of caramelize in the pan. And then we're going to have that heat. Ooh, going right in my nose. And if you don't like spicy, like I said, no big deal. You can just leave out the hot pepper and the cayenne pepper in the mixture. This is looking great. So here, I'll try to give you guys a good view of that. That's what it looks like in the pan. So I got my little bowl here, and now I'm just going to take that yogurt sauce and give little dots over the top of it. Now, if my husband was here, he'd add even more hot sauce on top of this probably, but for me, the heat's going to be good enough. Okay, so now you can see that. I'm going to take a little bite. I'll let you know how it is. Mm. Mm. It's fantastic. Fantastic. Really tasty dish. Mostly used from leftovers and some fresh veggies I had. Like I said, you could always use the frozen veggies. You don't even have to chop anything. You just throw them in the pan, and that would work just as well. I like to have that brown rice. I usually make a big thing of some kind of grain in the beginning of the week or maybe on Sunday that I just keep in the refrigerator. And sometimes it's brown rice, sometimes it's farro or bulgur. And then you just kind of use it throughout the week. So it's nice to have that available to you. And if you don't like meat, if you're looking for some other ways, I have some frozen edamame in the freezer. I could have put that in. Can of black beans. I do have some black beans in there. I could have leaved out the turkey and just use the black beans though. There's all different ways to throw this together. And like I said in the beginning, if I wanted to change it up and have an Asian stir fry, I could do that too. Instead of those Southwest seasonings, I would just put some soy sauce and sesame oil in there. So it's really easy to just kind of throw this together on a weeknight and have a nice, nutritious dish, as long as you have a few things in the refrigerator to grab from. And I use everything in MyPlate. I had my apples, I had all those veggies, you know, the ones that were already in the turkey and the ones that I cut up here. I've got my protein from my beans and my turkey, my grains. I've got the brown rice, and I put a little bit of dairy on top. And I really proportioned it just the way you see it on MyPlate too. Lots of fruits and veggies in there. And then I've got the grain and the turkey proportioned the same way you see it here. So it's a nice wholesome meal too. So that is it. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to move over to my computer here and check out my chat box. So I'll be right back with you. All right, and you guys can feel free to unmute too if you have any questions. If not, then, you know, you're free to go and have a fantastic weekend. I'll be sending the link out for next week too. So you can send that to me. Oh, what kind of pot? It is ceramic, yeah, it's ceramic. I would do this on a cast iron or even like the stick-free ones too. You could really do it on any kind of pot. It wouldn't matter. This one is ceramic because it works with the induction, and you have to have the same kind of pan that works with the induction. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will see you next week.